Hello, everyone. How are you doing tonight? We shall show what is in the bag. But first, I'm going to show you that today I got the best Coleman quarter today. This is a 2023 Philadelphia quarter. First new 2023 quarter I've seen. Um, there'll probably be some errors on these somewhere. Um, because it seems like every one of them that comes out has some kind of error on them lately. It's an interesting design. I kind of like the way it looks. It's kind of neat. Now, let's talk about a different kind of quarter, Standing Liberty quarter. So, I got this last week. It's a 1916 design of the Standing Liberty quarter with the Type 1 back, which they had. By the way, if you don't know your Type 1s, they don't have stars between quarter dollar and the eagle. That's the difference between Type 1 and Type 2, where it has 3 stars. Now, what is in the bag? Well, we're going to open up the bag and start removing things and show what we got. Not all of this is real good, but there are a couple things in it that are interesting. The first thing we'll talk about is this. This is Queen Elizabeth riding side saddle on a horse, 1977. Has the crown on top. And what is that? Some kind of bird. I'm not really sure what kind of bird that is supposed to be. And then I'm not really sure what that thing underneath the bird's supposed to be either. But anyway, I think this is highly polished brass, maybe. Not worth a whole lot. Almost looks gold plated, but even if it is gold plated, this amount of gold on a gold plated coin is very minuscule, and it won't add very much value to it. But I do like the design on this. It's not too bad. Now, all right, next thing. Coin dealer found another one of these 1965 Churchill coins. It looks better than a lot of them I have, dude. It's got a little bit of scratching on it. Very minor. But all on the higher points of the coin, basically. So it'd probably be called AU at best, since it's got that. Although I don't think it's really wear. I just think it's like marks from contacts against other coins. They made quite a few of these, and they went into circulation very quickly, and then didn't take too long before they stopped using them, demonetized them, and people who had them kept them, or whatever. We find a lot of these in the States, so they got around. Now, this particular coin, Space Shuttle Discovery, 1988. This is the first, or represents the first shuttle launch since the Challenger explosion. And so these, this took 2 years before they launched it again. They ended up launching Discovery a lot of times. It and Atlantis both, done a lot of launches. Now, the design on the back, this is a seal of the Republic of the Marshall Islands. It states it's $5 value. It's got island trees and stuff, and then a sailboat over here. And then I guess if I remember correctly, this little thing at the bottom means strength through numbers or something like that. It says seal right on it. Problem with these are they're not really worth much. It's copper nickel. It says $5, but from what I understand, when they were selling these kind of coins, they made them for several years. They made a whole bunch of them. They claimed they were legal tender in the Marshall Islands. But I guess what happened is somebody had some. They took a trip to the Marshall Islands, went into some shops, and asked if this was $5 and if they could spend it. And from what I understand, they were told nobody knew what the heck it was. So there was a lawsuit, and then they quit making these. I mean, they did make some that were $50 denomination that were 3/9 silver, 1 ounce basically. And then they made some $20 ones that were silver that were a 1/3 ounce. I actually have one of the 1/3 ounce ones, but it says $20, and the face value is what they asked for these. I'd get them in the mail when I ordered them, and some of the designs are pretty neat, but they're really not worth a whole lot. Now, we have this bag. There's some Roosevelt dimes in it, some wheat pennies, dateless buffaloes. There's 3 Roosevelt dimes in it, and 1 Barber dime that has had the top end of it pretty much cut off or something. So it's, there's 3 dimes that aren't messed up and 1 that is. And there's an Indian head in here, at least 1, which is kind of worn pretty bad. But then, like I said, dateless buffaloes. The whole bag was $10. It's probably barely going to be worth that much. Most of the wheat pennies are only worth a few cents. The nickels are basically nickels because unless you're Buffalo nickel, is this a war nickel maybe? Nope, 41. It's an early nickel, but it's not really worth anything. And there's another one, which is a 40. I thought they were all Buffalo nickels in here, but turns out there's a couple of Jefferson nickels in here too. And there might be more than 1 wheat penny in it, but generally speaking, a wheat penny in the shape this one is probably wouldn't even cost you 50 cents. But it's a neat little bag, but not worth a lot. Now, this is the one thing that I really like the most. I was going to buy a Buffalo silver, that is. This thing, the 50-cent piece, is just a nick smaller than what the 50-cent piece really is. But it depicts what these would look like uncirculated. They match the design pretty close on this to what these look like. And the eagle on the back is very close to what they look like too. It may not be exactly the same, but it's a commemorative copy. It's 1 troy ounce, 3/9 fine silver for the Walking Liberty $50. They made them from 1916 to 1947. They put a 1916 date on this one. I think these were made in 2016 to commemorate the 100th anniversary, because this Standing Liberty one's the same kind of design. They stopped making these in 1930. They made these for till 47. They made the Mercury dime until 45, and I was told that the Mercury dime has the same treatment in one of these. So it's out there somewhere. It might be something that I can get someday. But I thought that was a neat piece. I quite like it. The only thing I need to do now is pop the scale out and measure it. I also want to get this dime out of here and see how much lighter it is than than the 2.5 grams it started at. So pull the scale. Set this there. Bessie Coleman. All right. By the way, this scale is only accurate plus or minus a certain amount. It may not read exactly what the 1 ounce of choice should be. Well, first thing you do when you're doing it is you put the 50 gram weight on it, and see it says 50 grams. So it's calibrated, but how accurate it really is, we don't know. This one, when I measured it last week, it come up just a slight bit lighter than 31.1, which doesn't really concern me that much. We put this to troy ounce if I can get it here. 1 ounce troy. And it says 0.993. Very close to 1 ounce. And then this one's the same company making it, and it reads over just barely. Of course, that 0.006 is probably within the error, plus or minus error. So it's kind of odd that this one would weigh over and this one would weigh under. Together, 1.99 troy, or 998 troy ounces. I don't have 2 1 ounce rounds handy, but I can get a couple and throw them on there and see if it comes out to 2 or what. Okay. Everybody, hope you didn't get too bored. I was grabbing a couple more 1 ounce rounds. This one's a 1 ounce, 1 troy ounce pure silver. That reads 1.001. This is a Pearl Harbor one. And it too comes up just a bit light for whatever reason. Oops. Together, 1.995. So this particular scale isn't real expensive. So it could be within the, like I said, the limit of its plus or minus. We put it back on grams again. Set that back on there. Open up the bag. Dump them out. Let's see what we got in here. All right, what we're going to do is measure the weight on this cut and trimmed barber dime. Now, you're not going to know what mint this was, or what year, I mean. The mint is down here, so it's a Philadelphia one. Have a good look at the damage. It's kind of odd, don't know why they did that. We'll stick it on here and see that comes out to 0.03, 2.03 grams. Now, let's find the Roosevelts. There's 3 of them in here. There's the other one. I know it's in here. There it is. So we have 3 Roosevelt dimes on this and the Barber, and it's 9.46 grams of silver total. These Roosevelt dimes don't get a whole lot of love. This one's a 46, and it's Philadelphia. This one is the Denver mint on these. The D is in the S will be right there next to this torch. This is a 52 Denver. It'll focus for me. There you go. That's probably near about the best I'll get on that. And then this one is a 62, and it is another Denver. The D looks a little more pronounced on this one than the earlier one. To me, of course, this one's got slight wear to it. Anyway, 3 Roosevelt dimes and about it's half a gram light, being 2 grams instead of 2.5. I'm trying to figure out what the percentage that would really make it. Like 3/4, I guess. Well, not 3/4. It's 2 and it's 2.5, so it's five sections in 4/5 of a dime, basically. Now the rest of the stuff in here, there is the Indian head, which this one's a 1902, it looks like. I think there's at least one more of them in here. This one's worn out more. It's a 1901, and it's pretty flat. And it also looks to have some kind of environmental damage to the coin. Other than that, now let's start sorting out the rest of the wheat pennies that were in here. These are worth maybe 2 or 3 cents a piece, something like that, maybe 5. They're probably all pretty well common date ones. But there is, how many are there total here? Looks like 13 plus 2 wheat pennies. 3 dateless, at least I think they're all dateless. That's what my dealer said. They were all dateless Buffalo nickels, not worth anything. And a 41 and a 1940 nickel, Jefferson nickels, both Philadelphia, not silver. So basically you're talking 25 cents a nickels, nothing much. I'd probably value these Indian heads at about 10 cents a piece, maybe. Or maybe 15 or 20 for this one and 10 cents for that one if I was to sell them to somebody. And these, unless there's like something from real early, these are 42, 44. I think that one's 44, 48. This one's really in rough shape. It is a 30S, 48D. I doubt any of these are real old or real any key dates or anything like that. Most people would looks like they're mostly from the 40s. Yeah, maybe if I was selling them, maybe 5 cents a piece tops. So I paid $10 for the bag, got 4 silver coins, one heavily damaged, and Buffalo nickels and other nickels. It's not hardly even worth $10, but kind of bought it just for the aspects. I'm going to make a video about this coin for Addicted to Minis to look at and respond to if he wants. see if he would ever buy a damaged coin this way, this much damage or not. It'd have to be cheap though. I would say if you went to a coin shop and they had a junk tray of 90% with what 90% is going for today, most places want about 20x for it. This particular one, though, being that it's partially gone, I would say, a dime, these Roosevelt dimes probably might be about $2 a piece. If you went to a coin shop in a junk tray, this one would have to be even cheaper. I'd say $1, $1.25 maybe. Any more than that, and you're probably paying too much for it unless you just want it for a conversation piece. Which, well, if you only pay $1 or $1.25, you really don't have much in it, so it's not a big deal. But sitting here, went live for a while. Haven't had anybody stop by to speak of, and those who didn't make any comments, so my coin dealer did have 2 separate bags of these, similar to this, Walking Liberty halves, at $10 a coin. 2 of them had 10 in them, and 1 bag had 50. So he had $700 worth of these if someone wanted to buy them. 50 of them is quite a few of them to buy at one time. Most people I know wouldn't buy that, but 10 of them, $100 for 10 of these. It's not a horrible price, but it's maybe not the best price in the world either. But of course, his silver rounds, a couple weeks ago, he bought a whole bunch of these. Then he bought another batch of them. He had them for somewhere around $27. He had Buffaloes for 50 cents less than what these were. But these have more interesting designs than the Buffalo. But since silver prices jumped, he hasn't changed the price of these since silver price jumped. So what price I paid for these when I bought them compared to what they're worth today, or what they should be worth today, because silver's up like almost over $2 over what it was just 2 or 3 weeks ago. A lot of it's happened in the last week, actually. So anyway, I'll go ahead and put my scale back up. Hello, old country coin collector. By the way, anybody who's watching this, go check out his channel. He shows up to my live streams quite a bit, and I thank him for it. And when he does, I usually show a sticker and urge everybody to go check his channel out. But what I got today was this, the main thing that was in the bag. It's actually worth something. It's 1 ounce silver round. Kind of matches the design of this Standing Liberty one. Now, I was told when I bought this one that they do make the Mercury dime like this too. So if I can find the Mercury dime one, I'll have a set of these, 1 each. I thought they looked kind of cool. And I mean, the chances of getting a 1916 one that looks this uncirculated, I mean, this would be AU probably. To get one in this kind of shape, though, 1916, they're hard to find to speak of. In fact, my other coin dealer and I were talking about it. Well, he's a jeweler too, but he said something about he thinks maybe 40,000 of the 52,000 are still surviving. I really don't know. I mean, a lot of people save the first year coins, but these wore out fast, and the date can go off of them so quick that once the date's gone, you won't be able to tell this. Wouldn't be able to tell a 1916 from a 1917 without the date. As far as I understand, they didn't change anything about the coin until they made the Type 2 one somewhere along the way in 1917, because a lot of people complained because design. And I'll just focus on the head and the body here of the Liberty, and you can probably figure out why people lost their mind a little bit. And if if you don't know what it is, it's easy to research and find out. I don't want to say why on my video here, just because I kind of try to keep my videos no cuss words, no profanity, and no nothing else. I try to just use regular words. Every now and then I'll slip up because I'm from the military. I was in the military. I mean, I'm not from the military, but I was in the military. And the language you hear when you're in the military, what people say all the time, compare, you've heard the saying, curses like a sailor. Well, people in the Army curse just as much as the sailors did, so it's really no big difference. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show this again real quick. The USS Constitution ship, a rendering on silver of the sailing ship, which they maintain one of these, which I think is the Constitution, to this day. They bring it out for Fleet Week. They bring it out for Fleet Week, and United States sailors who have any desire to or knowledge of sailboat operation and want to be on the detail for this because it's prestige in terms of, I mean, it's impractical. A sailboat today in combat would be one of the first things to get torn up in combat. It gets sunk fast because it's only made out of wood. But of course, being made out of metal didn't help Pearl Harbor ships from not getting sunk. It pretty much sunk all of our battleships, which at the time seemed like a really big blow, but it wasn't too long after this that the value of aircraft carriers versus battleships was proven. It's proven quite a bit in Pearl Harbor, and then it was proven again at Midway and all through the Pacific War that battleships aren't very useful in the modern Navy because an airplane can fly a lot further than a shell can fly from a battleship. And this thing just had antique cannons, so they shot cannonballs at close range. But if I remember correctly, this particular ship was a 44 gun back in the day. I think it's 44 broadside on each side. So the old saying about these were they could outrun anything they couldn't outgun and could outgun anything they couldn't outrun. That's what it said in the history books. That's what I've heard lots of times. And we use these kind of ships against the pirates in North Africa who were interfering with some of our shipping and stuff. So we went to war against the Barbary pirates. Anyway, I've been live for a little while. I hope everybody's having a good night. I don't want to go live all night, but I did want to, feature what was in the bag. I've made videos for most of the stuff to go live, but I am going to make a video about this because you don't see damage like this on any dimes too much. Someone's cut the whole end off of this. It weighs right around 2 grams, so in terms of a silver piece, you go and buy junk silver. This one you wouldn't pay very much for if you're, this is in a bag with several other coins, including some Roosevelt dimes. 3 of them that aren't too bad. But yeah, I got my first 2023 quarter today. It's Bessie Coleman. I'm sorry, I almost said Armstrong. There's a date there, and that date is 6/15/1921. Maybe that's when she was flying airplanes. It's kind of interesting. Still don't like this side of the quarter that much. Washington's neck looks too big, and I don't like the fact he's facing this direction when all the other Washington quarters he faces the other direction. Well, it's a 2023 Philadelphia, first one I've seen, first one I've gotten my change. And I kind of like the way the design looks. I don't know, what do you all think? Anyway, I've been live for a little while. I think I'm going to wish everyone a good night at this point, and I may go live tomorrow night. I guess we'll see. But everybody have a good night, and if you run into this live stream later and you're watching the replay, you like this kind of content where you see a lot of this stuff, you can check some of my other live stream videos out. This is basically what I do is preview what I got, and then I have short videos going live in the next few weeks that'll show this stuff. Have a good night, old country coin collector. We'll talk to you later, and everybody else have a good night. Like I said, if you like this kind of content, you can like and subscribe, watch some of the other live streams that I've done, and see a lot of different coins. Usually in the shorts, I just feature one coin and then I'm done. 30 or 40-second video. Anyway, have a good night, and we'll see you next time.